Alan Dershowitz tells CNN that Trump has power to stop any investigation. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz argued this week that there is nothing scandalous about President Donald Trump's interactions with former FBI Director James Comey, whose testimony to Congress rocked Capitol Hill on Thursday. In a written testimony and addressing the Senate Intelligence Committee, Comey confirmed that 4 months ago the president asked him indirectly to drop the Bureau's investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, and that was well within Trump's job description. The generally liberal Dershowitz maintained the president could have told Comey, "You are commanded, directed to drop the prosecution against Flynn." Dershowitz told CNN host Anderson Cooper, "The president has the right to do that. And if the president would have the right to demand that the prosecution against Flynn be dropped, then he certainly reserved the right to merely ask the director something similar. Our president could have simply pardoned Flynn," which the professor claimed was what President Bush did. According to the Daily Caller, Dershowitz had been citing the case of Caspar Weinberger, who was pardoned by former President George H.W. Bush before he could be tried in relation to the Iran-Contra scandal. You cannot have obstruction of justice when the president exercises his constitutional authority to pardon, his constitutional authority to fire the director of the FBI, his constitutional authority to tell the director of the FBI who to prosecute, who not to prosecute, Dershowitz concluded. In other words, the president's powers as head of the executive branch, which includes the Justice Department, entitles him to modify or terminate investigations as he so desires, Dershowitz said. Listen to Dershowitz's thesis below. In a column for Fox News published Thursday, Dershowitz again stressed the same point, this time by pointing to examples of previous presidents from Adams to Jefferson, to Lincoln to Roosevelt, to Kennedy to Bush the one, and to Obama, who have directed the Justice Department with regard to ongoing investigations. The history is clear, the precedents are clear, the constitutional structure is clear, and common sense is clear, he wrote. If Dershowitz's assertions are correct, it would mean all the hubbub regarding the president's interaction with Comey are much ado about nothing. However, not everyone concurred with Dershowitz's assessment. Legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin maintained Thursday on CNN that the Watergate scandal that brought down former President Richard Nixon disproved the professor's line of thinking. Under your theory, the president, since the FBI works for the president, he can tell them to do anything they want, he said, while in Watergate, the President Nixon then conspired. They made an agreement to stop the FBI investigation of Watergate. Was that constitutional authority? No, it was a crime. What he conveniently forgot to mention was that Watergate involved clear-cut crimes and actual burglary, among other things, whereas the current faux scandal revolves around the uncorroborated allegations of a resentful former FBI director. Let's take a listen to this. This is what is the truth.
Thank you. Joining us now is Chief Political Analyst Lloyd Forger. Jeff Toobin is back with us as well as Harvard Law School's Professor Alan Dershowitz. So, Professor Dershowitz, you say this is not obstruction of justice by the president and that it actually strengthens his position against Director Comey. How so?
Well, first of all, let's look at the big constitutional picture. The president could have told Comey, you are commanded, directed to drop the prosecution against Flynn. The president has the right to do that. Comey acknowledges that. He says in the statement that historically, presidents have done that to the Justice Department. But in the last few years, we've had a tradition of separation. But that tradition doesn't create crime. Remember also what the president could have done. He could have said to Comey, stop this investigation. I am now pardoning Flynn. That's what President Bush did. In the beginning of the investigation of Casper Weinberger, which could have led back to the White House to the first President Bush on the eve of the trial pardoned Casper Weinberger, pardoned 6 people, and Special Counsel Walsh said this is outrageous. He's stopping the investigation. Nobody talked about obstruction of justice. You cannot have obstruction of justice when the president exercises his constitutional authority to pardon, his constitutional authority to fire the director of the FBI, or his constitutional authority to tell the director of the FBI who to prosecute, who not to prosecute. So let's get out of the weeds and let's look at the big...
He was left speechless. And there you have it. And this needs to be put out. They're just wasting the taxpayers' money. That's all they're doing. Because the deep state does not want Trump in office. That's why they're doing this. That's the only reason. The criminality against Clinton, obviously, she still has access to classified material. She has classified information clearance till to this day. It's unbelievable, yet no Democrat is mentioning this. No Democrat is saying anything, and we the Republicans are busy working, not unlike them, and that's what's taking place. It's a shame, but Trump has the authority as president. He says it. He has the constitutional right to do what he wants, and he can pardon whoever he wants, and he can dictate to the FBI what he wants to prosecute, and if he doesn't want to prosecute. Since they said that Comey stated under oath, actually there was no Russian collusion between Trump and the Russians, but he didn't want to leak that out, instead having Trump scrambling to deal with the criticism for months on end. And they're still not giving up this story. I mean, I can't comprehend what's going on. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.